Being here today. This is an informational meeting. We're going to hear from the folks in Acadia who are proposing a clinic for downtown here. Just having sat through a bunch of meetings in this room before, I might suggest that you guys maybe kind of move up and a little maybe over to this side, or you're going to have a hard time seeing that screen most of the time. We're working on a possible solution there, but feel free to take the chairs and spin them around so it's actually facing the screen a little bit if that's more comfortable for you. We're not going to have a public hearing today. This is just an informational opportunity for us as council members who are here anyway to learn more about the proposed facility. We're not taking testimony or having a hearing today. So thank you for coming though, and feel free to move about if you need to see things better. All right, we'll turn it over to you guys here.
Thank you. I appreciate everyone being here today to listen to the presentation and the things that we have to say. I appreciate the community coming out as well. I'm Tony Rosella. I work in the Business Development Department with Acadia. And I'm just going to kind of introduce, I guess I'll start off as to what we're doing here in Cole County and why here specifically and what brought us to this area and give you guys some of the rationale of why we made the reasons that we did. For whatever reason, this isn't working, so I'm going to have to stand behind the podium. Do it the old-fashioned way. Just kind of give you an overview of Acadia. If you want to go to our website at www.acadiahealthcare.com is where you'll find a lot more information. But we essentially have about 600 facilities nationwide. And we're the largest behavioral health provider in America, with roughly 57,000 patients in our outpatient substance abuse facilities and about 17,500 beds in our inpatient hospitals. In Washington, we have about 20% of the facilities here in the state that do substance abuse medicated assisted outpatient treatment. We have 4 distinct lines of business. You won't care about many of that, but just the CTC, just know that the 600 facilities, there's acute facilities, specialty, residential, and then what we call the comprehensive treatment centers, the CTC programs. Those CTC programs offer a variety of services for the community. In addition to training a patient in a medicated assisted model, which uses all of the medications that are available for opioid dependence, we also have counseling, that's drug-free counseling for anyone that would like to use the facility for that option. We have outreach programs, screenings, awareness, testing. We work with the employers, law enforcement, anyone else in the community to partner with them to offer the solutions that we have at our facilities for those that are suffering from the disease of substance abuse. This is just kind of a picture of one of our more recent facilities. Sometimes there's a picture of what one of these facilities may look like, but we have state-of-the-art facilities. We try to destigmatize the medical treatment of a disease, just like if anyone had high blood pressure, diabetes, or any other disease, they would go to a medical facility to get treatment for that. Why here? I mentioned that earlier. We were actually somewhat solicited to put a facility here due to the need that is here based on what the county and the state is seeing on data that they've been tracking. I'll share some of that data with you folks. But that is the chief reason that we are here, was because of the solicitation to us or the need for the services here in the county. Back in 2015, a lot of data here. I'll try to make the actual pointer to work on this. It does. It'll be easier for me to do it from this side. The county had what was called a syringe exchange program. The state did. 17 counties participated in this program. Okay? This is a snapshot of some of the counties that were in these 17 counties of the program. This is published from the University of Washington. You guys are welcome to go online and see that report. But essentially what it tracked, we have the Cowlitz County here. We know the population. These are rough estimates. There was 418,000 needles or syringes exchanged. The facility here that was doing the exchange was open 1 day for 3 hours, so a total of 156 hours for the year. That's an exchange rate of about 2,680 needles per hour, or about 4 syringes per every citizen here in the county that was exchanged. I use this as an comparator because these are relatively either the same size as population or the same amount of hours, less this one. These were relatively open for the year of 2015 for the same amount of hours. You can see the exchange rate of the syringes per capita and of course the syringes per hours. This was the whole average for the state. So here in this county, there's almost a 3-fold increase in the number of syringes exchanged per citizen than there are in the state of Washington, in addition to a nearly 3-fold rate of the syringes per hour being turned back in. Okay? Now, on the next one, this is not working. Yeah, good. The page down on the lower right. So what we do know is the population here is roughly 1.4% of the state's population. Okay? Roughly 103,000 here, roughly 7.1 million here in Washington. The county here accounted for 3.7 of all the needles exchanged in the state program. And of course, you saw from the last slide, that was about 4.06 per citizen. Here's the increases that I mentioned to you. I'm not going to read them verbatim, you can read them what's up there. This was the second highest county of the 17 participating counties in all of the state for the number of needles per citizen that lived here that were exchanged in the program. That 2,680 needles that were exchanged in the 156 hours that the facility was open to exchange the needles equated to about every 3 minutes and 32 seconds a needle was exchanged. In the state of Washington, in this program, about every 12 hours and 52 minutes a needle was exchanged. That means here, in this county, for every needle that was exchanged in the state, 217 were exchanged here in the county in the same time frame. So what that means is in 12 hours and 52 minutes, that's the state's average when they got a needle. Here, 3 minutes and 32 seconds of that is about 217 needles. Okay? And that was the needle exchange program, SEP. The next program that was an indicator that helped the county folks here and us determine whether there's a need or not is what's called the NEMT program, the Non-Emergency Medical Transportation Program. The state of Washington offers this for its Medicaid beneficiaries to travel into facilities to and from their facility, regardless of the facility. They do a great job in tracking that to distances, where they take them, what kind of facility, time it takes, all of that stuff. It's administered by State Health Care Authority, what is called Methadone clinics. We do offer methadone as one of the medications. Those that name here is a stigma. We tend to like to call them the comprehensive treatment centers to offer a lot more than just one product and one service. But that is tracked. The results for 2 months ago, we do have the results for 1 month. And what we're able to do is extrapolate 1 month to times it by 12, and you can get a year's worth of data. Now that result, the year's worth of data, becomes very accurate when you've reached the max of patients you can treat. For example, Coles County has a max of 75 patients. They can only afford, or they can only use the program for 75 patients. So every month, there's 75 patients in it. If you go to the next slide, this non-emergency medical transportation, these are the estimates based on the fact that we know 1 month. So if you take that month and times it by 12, these are some of the categories that get tracked. Okay? What we find here is that these are the number of clients that are in this program in the state, 2,642. Forwards is at 75 clients. It's capped at that. It's always that each month. This is a comparator because they also have 75 patients that Clark County transfers per month. 75 is 2.84% of the total trips. Here is the cost that it's costing the county to transport these patients back and forth to treatment. comes to about $1,129 per client, or about $48 per trip. Now you can see how that compares with the state averages here, and with another county that has the same amount of patients that they're transporting. So the burden on the system for the county to use this money instead of towards treatment, they're using it towards transportation. They have come to us and said, we need a facility here, so we're not doing this, because, go to the next slide, because the amount of money that we're paying in Colletts County, remember, based on the fact that this is 1.4% of the state's population, roughly, okay? This is the chart you just saw from before, last slide. It's 1.4% of the population. However, this money that is spent here in this county is nearly 7% of the money that the whole state spends to transport patients. That's part of the reason why they said, please put a facility here. We are spending a lot of money transporting patients that need this service, need this treatment here, that are from here, that come from here, that live here. It happens to be, if you look at the trips, those are the ones that kind of stick out the most. So you can see it's 1.7 times the trips. So if you take the trips here from Colwitz, you look at the total state trips, it accounts for 1.7%, but it's only 1.4% of the population. Same with the rest. What this is comparative of is how much of the state's resources we're utilizing compared to how much of the state's population we are. And that's what this is designed to show. This was the impetus for the county to come to us, the county behavioral health organization, the BHO that controls the Medicaid lives, and said, well, asked us, can you please put a facility here because the patients, the county needs it, the area needs it. So those are two of the driving forces, this NEMT and the SEP program that I just showed you. Go ahead, go to the next slide. This is from Washington State. Just published a year ago. This looks at the rate of crime cases with opioid results. Of course, we can see us here. Unfortunately, we're at the top. It's at least 2.5 times, if not 3 times, the state's average per capita of crime lab cases with opioids as a result. Unfortunately, it had the unfortunate distinction of being one of the top, I guess, 5 counties over here, and then it looks like it's grown a little more. But one of the things this clearly shows us, that I think everyone in the room is aware, we all listen to the news, that opioids are a problem. They're getting worse, they're not getting better. You can see the cases from here to here. Look at the color increase, and again, it goes to lend to the problem that we all know is there. Go to the next slide. This looks at a publicly funded treatment admission rate for any opioid, okay? And again, we see us down here, us over here. So it's increasing, and it's not getting lighter, it's getting darker, which is worse. And of course, it is higher than the state's average. Actually, in this range, we'll fall to 180 to 300, or this one's 176. So it's somewhere between equal to twice as much as the state's. Next slide. And then lastly, which kind of really stuck out to me, it was kind of a shock when the county came to us and said, we need help. Deaths attributed to an opioid. The unfortunate distinction of being one of the highest counties in all of the state is to what's happening here and why they came to us and said, we need your help, your treatment, because of many indicators that would suggest there's not only are the people here, they live here, they want treatment here, but it's very costly to the state and to the county who's spending money to transport them out of the county to get the help that they need. This looks at not only deaths, let me see, it's 8.6 per 100,000 in the state. And so this is almost nearly twice as much, if not more, 50, 30, or 40, so it's greater than 14. And it shares with probably 2 or 3 other counties, maybe 4, I don't know exactly what the county lines are out there. It's bad and then getting worse, as you see the colors getting more and more. So why here? Well, why am I here in front of you guys and in giving you all this information, and why specifically, I guess it's, I realize it's really, it's next door close. When the county came and asked us to please help us and put a facility here, there's, it kind of starts through me. As business development, it kind of comes to me and funnels to me as to where, you know, the process to go through to place a facility, any place in America.
I'm sorry.
Yes, go ahead.
To clarify, you said the county, keep saying the county asked you to do this. Is the county or is the BHO?
I should make a distinction.
Okay.
Great Rivers, the people who are in charge of the county lives of Medicaid. That's, I mean, not county officials.
Okay.
The behavioral health organization that runs the Medicaid lives for the county.
Yeah, no, I understand. I just want to make a
That's what
distinction because there's what, 4 counties involved in the Great Rivers BHO.
Correct. And internally, I call it county. You're right. That's like, well, they're not county. The folks from the behavioral health that are running the county programs.
Okay.
So you guys,
Yeah, I just want to make, no, I know it's a BHO, I just want to make a distinction for the crowd.
Yes.
This is not the county commissioners or the county health department making the decision.
That's correct.
By recommendation. This is, there's Medicaid dollars that are provided for mental health and drug addiction and substance abuse issues, and that is administered through the behavioral health organization. And our BHO that covers this area covers 5 counties. Is that correct?
Correct, and our board is made up of the county commissioners.
That is correct. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you for that distinction. I was misusing time for the last 20 minutes. Why here? We're back to why next door, why a few doors away, why here? The difficulties in finding a place to put a facility, any medical facility, let alone something as specialized as what we do. The properties that are available really dictate location more than anything else. I don't say, well, I want to be here, or I'd rather be. We look at the county in general. Now, I think everyone can agree it makes better sense to be in the populous areas than at the edge of the county where there's less population. But that being said, it's really what properties are available, because these are all of the considerations that I have as an obstacle anywhere I go in America. We have to have the right structure. You can't, it's not real conducive to have a multi-tenant, multi-story building when you're working with substance abuse or mental health of any sort, because of the anonymity that we would like for patients to have, as opposed to a general lobby area and so forth. So we kind of like standalone or partials or so forth, as opposed to the building. We have to have the right size. We have to have zoning. It differs in every municipality. We have to have enough parking. It has to be the right price. We're not going to, pay an exorbitant price anywhere if it's not the right price. We have to have the right landlord. Those who approve of our use, approve of the long-term good that it will do for the community. It has to be the right location. It has to be centered. As I said, putting it at the edge wherever the next county is what makes sense when probably 80 or 75% of the county's population is within a 10-mile radius or 20-mile radius of this general area here. So the property next door literally was just about, if you go onto LoopNet and you try to find all of this stuff that works, you come up with 0. I have very, very little choices to choose from. This happens to be the right, at the moment now, and as it was when we first started the process, probably 6 months ago, it's still about the only choice that's anywhere near this area. And so that will hopefully answer some questions as to why 305, and what it is we have to go through these barriers to really get to the right place, to help those folks. So that's all I have. Is there any questions I could help to answer?
Well, yeah. So I want to point out, this is not a public meeting. There's no public hearings. We're not accepting public comments. So the folks that are involved here, and then any staff members or visitors that you have brought with you, if we're going to have some more folks involved in the conversation, you want to come to the front. So this is open to the public because we have a quorum of council members, but it is not.
Questions addressed to me?
That is correct.
I appreciate that information you provided on why here. I think that's been one of the big questions. From the zoning perspective, you're saying the location meets, is zoned appropriately for the use that you have.
That's right.
Mr. Anderson, you had some questions?
That was my major question, was putting it in what little bit of a downtown business district we have that is currently struggling already and recovering from a previous mislocation of another business.
Okay.
So that would have been my major, that's my major concern, is putting it in our 3-block downtown business district. And our transportation hub sits directly across the street from your building. The trains and the Greyhound and the public truck bus stop.
Okay.
Bus center is right there.
And if I understand your concern correctly, the fact that this will draw people from not just the citizens here,
Yes.
folks, but elsewhere. I can only speculate based on where this is located, based on what we see in the state in terms of travel. And because there's a facility in Vancouver and 10 in Portland, the probability of folks coming from, what's the county below?
Clark County.
The probability of them coming up here, there's not only one there, but 10 across their river, 10 facilities, that would probably be fairly slim. I can't speak for the counties north or south, but people don't travel all too far for this type of thing. About 30 miles is, very few people travel 100 miles. So depending on what the county limits are, I would speculate that 90%, 95% of patients 2 years out would have zip codes that reside in this county, maybe not in either Kelso or Longview, but surely in the county it's going to be 95%. I speculate.
Well, I bring that part up because we had a homeless shelter over here that they promoted in King County, and they came in by bus loads. They probably, the counties were bringing in passenger vans, dropping them off.
And that, I guess, that caused,
It was a little barrier shelter.
I think I can speak to a little bit of that, and I know Todd can, because the way the funding works is that the money that's allocated for Great Rivers BHO has to be spent within Great Rivers BHO. We can't bring people from King County or Clark County. They have to be served in their own county, and that's, if you want to speak a little bit about that, Todd, that would be helpful.
So my name is Mark Ballender. I am the CEO for Great Rivers. I'll probably speak last, but there are a couple folks from the state. What you're talking about, I'm assuming, is a love overwhelming situation. Nothing to do with this, not even close.
Right.
So, this, and I'll talk more about the program specifically and our services and as it relates to this. But there are a couple folks here from the state who would like to give a little bit of a historical kind of perspective about kind of the need and where we are today, and then maybe I can step in and talk for areas as well. Does that work?
Sure, thanks.
Good afternoon. My name is Dennis Walmer. I'm the Deputy Director of the Division of Behavioral Health and Recovery, which is part of the Department of Social Health Services. Dr. Teresa Fatinos and I decided to come down today and chat a little bit. We have a real interest in expanding medication-assisted treatment statewide, and in particular, Collis County has been something that we've looked at for a number of years. I also serve as the State Opioid Treatment Authority. It's a federally recognized position. Each state has one individual that's responsible to report to the Substance Abuse Mental Health Services Administration in Rockville about developments in the MAT world. So I serve that role as part of the Division of Behavioral Health and Recovery. Just a little bit of background on MAT. We started to expand services in Washington State in 2001 when the law changed. We've worked with a lot of various jurisdictions, both city and county government over the last 15, 16 years or so, around appropriately citing and working with managing and regulating opiate treatment programs. We just passed the legislature just passed legislation this year. These facilities will be called opiate treatment programs, or OTPs, just for the record, as of July 23rd this year. So I'll talk just a little bit about our involvement and oversight in a lot of folks are concerned about what kind of oversight might the state have or the federal government, because that's part of my responsibility. Happy to share that, and thought we would. And Dr. Patinas will talk a little bit about the evidence, that kind of thing. In the regulatory world, opiate treatment programs actually have 5 levels of licensure, registration, or accreditation. The most highly regulated substance use disorder program, and certainly in our state and probably true nationally. Programs such as this one will have to be certified by the Substance Abuse Mental Health Services Administration. They'll have to be registered by the Drug Enforcement Administration at the federal level, so DEA agents will be routinely on site observing practices, security, and those types of things. They need to be accredited by a federally recognized accreditation body. We happen to serve as one in Washington State, so Katie has chosen DBHR to do the accreditation work. We also license OPPs, and then the Board of Pharmacy will also license the pharmacy dispensary. So those five state and federal agencies will visit this clinic, as they do all clinics, routinely to make sure that they're in compliance with both the state and federal rules and regulations around opiate treatment programs. And most OTPs these days are using a variety of medications. It's not just methadone, but buprenorphine products and some other medications, FDA-approved medications that I think Dr. Patinas might touch on. So there's high oversight. One thing that I've noticed and worked with a lot of communities on, in particular Acadia, just so you know, is Acadia's predecessor, the original entity, as it's gone through some changes in hands. We've actually licensed their agencies for 30 years. So we have a very long history. They're one of the longest serving clinic providers in this state. They have a number of other clinics. But we've always worked with local communities and jurisdictions around, again, patient health and safety issues, community safety, mitigating impacts on neighborhoods. There's a reason why the original rule was written to be no more than 350 patients. That's not the case in all states. It is in this state because of concern about impacts. And most folks get dosed in the early mornings, and it's between 6 and 8 in the morning, so you wouldn't know that there's a clinic here because people will come and go, and they don't come 7 days a week either. The longer people are in services, and we would certainly expect that at least 75 to 85 patients that go to Clark County every day could remain here. Our interest in that particular case is we'd much rather have people seeking gainful employment and other enhancing life activities than being transported in a cab from here or Cathlamet. We got folks out on the beach also coming through this area, heading to Clark County. It'd be nice to keep those folks at home where they can also seek gainful, like I said, gainful employment and other positive life activities. Anyways, I just wanted to introduce myself. I'll be responsible to do the formal public hearing from the state's perspective. Once we get a little further down and have a location, and then Acadia will apply with us, and we'll move that along. We're required to do one public hearing. So July 23rd this year, we'll do that in this general facility and make that accessible to the most number of folks possible, so people can come share with us their opinions about these. So that was my part of it that I'd like to share with you.
So you do a lot of citing, it sounds like, and this is paradigm's changing a little bit with this new legislation. That hearing and stuff is and there's currently a requirement.
Yeah, rather than 2 hearings, we're only going to do 1 hearing. We were doing hearings in adjacent county, but we'd rather put our energy into the local area. So that's one of the changes that we appreciate.
So that hearing's not scheduled right now?
No, we haven't done that yet.
Later in the year?
We'll do a need piece, and we'll make the reach to you all around that hearing and the scheduling in the place and the time it's most appropriate. I think I've been involved in every hearing since 2001. We had about 7 clinics at that point. We have 22 clinics today, and we're looking at citing 5 more this year. This is just one. There'll be a couple more in the northwest section of the state, not the tribal planning on the Bellingham area.
So when you say citing, are you thinking, are you looking, does a particular community need a facility like this, or do you look at a particular location and it's fit for such a endeavor?
Well, we originally looked at the need, and we had a process called determination of need. The legislature repealed that process this year. It's House Bill 1427, was signed by the governor. The reason for that, I'll leave this here, but I brought a copy of the governor's executive order on opioid overdose that he put out last fall, and I also have copies of the state interagency opioid work plan. So I'll leave that information for you. The legislature recognizes this is such an opioid epidemic that it doesn't make much sense to look at the. You saw some of the numbers. It's the overdose deaths, that type of thing. We used to generate that data for the public hearings, but won't have to do that any longer. So where we'll stay focused, though, is does the site, the projected site, meet local land use ordinances? Again, it's different whether it's within the city or within the county. Each entity is a little bit different, but it has to meet the local land use ordinance. OTPs are considered essential public facilities, so they can't be excluded. And then we look at other things, access to public transportation is really
Sorry,
important.
can you expand on the not being able to be excluded piece? I know what you're talking about, but I'd like everybody to hear.
So OTPs are considered essential public facilities. There are certain types of entities that are more difficult to find an appropriate location for. So once that designation was in place for OTPs, counties and city governments were still able to determine local land use ordinances and decide which sections or zones were appropriate for different types of siting. Now that's still the authority of local governments and cities. But you can't exclude an OTP. And that changed, again, the siting issue was up to counties until July 1, 2001. And then the state was directed to take responsibility for that. So since that time, we can't just say, well, we're not going to have an OTP in this county, period, or with this city. There has to be some zoning mechanisms. And in the absence of that, always our recommendation is it's a medical clinic like any other primary care medical clinic. In fact, a lot of OTPs are moving towards that integrated behavioral health, mental health, substance use disorders, primary care. That's where we're going. As a matter of fact, Cowlitz County, in terms of integration of services like that, is actually seen as kind of out front. I don't know if you know that. But we get lots of comments, and we've seen, and there are lots from legislators over the last few years about Cowlitz County doing some progressive things to integrate, again, primary care, SUD, and mental health.
So as you've gone through doing these public hearings, I think you said since 2001, you've been to most of them. You've probably seen a lot of the same kind of concerns raised in different communities, and you've seen what really happens after the places are cited. Do typically the concerns that are expressed end up coming to fruition? Or are the places less of an impact on the community than typically thought?
It's always been less. The concerns are always, is the crime rate going to increase, in this 2-block area or 3-block area? Again, Dr. Fatimas has some reports that she can cite up the exact, it's exactly the opposite. Crime rate usually drops. But there's concerns about that. There's concerns about loitering, about impact on police, on law enforcement. What about people coming in from outside of the area? What we found over the years is that OTPs don't increase the crime rate in the area. The piece and Katie, by the way, was a leader here, is when it gets down to basically traffic control, the number of vehicles and the number of folks that come in an area, people loitering. They have staff members that are responsible to monitor that, because we also require them to have a community relations plan. So as part of the application, they're going to have to meet with all of you and other businesses in this particular area, and law enforcement, and public health, and make sure everybody's in line and have an active community relations plan, so that if there are concerns or issues, everybody knows who to talk to and how to handle that. And that's been pretty successful everywhere we've gone. So we just haven't seen much come of that. In fact, generally, like I said, the health of an area improves pretty dramatically when people are stable, can get on with their lives, and get back to school and look for jobs and those kind of things.
Can I ask, on the BHO, which 5 counties were a part of?
When we have BHO stuff, if you want to go through these folks first, and then I'll do the BHO spiel, does that work?
Thanks, Mark. Mr. Good, any questions?
I do. I want to be very plain spoken about this because I'm not a very smart person, so I sometimes need to be walked through these things. You're telling me the state is going to be able to mandate that this location next door is a foregone conclusion?
No.
We have recourse as a city to ask the state maybe look at other options, or these folks from Arcadia to look at other options.
What we'll look at is, does the proposed site meet your land use ordinances, your siting ordinances? We're not going to tell you, this is not the state's business, that's a local decision the city would make on your zoning issues. We'll ask the applicant, do we have a copy of your community relations plan? And so we'll look at what information and how they've engaged
Public reaction included?
city folks. We'll do a public hearing so that everybody has an opportunity from the public. And we're required to advertise that at least 21 days in advance, or 30 days in advance, and put it in the newspapers and get the word out to everybody. So we'll do all of that and then look at that. Always, there are a handful of, I think, people that would prefer not to have a clinic at all in the county or the city. And we can understand that. But again, given that it's an essential public facility, if it meets zoning requirements and the applicant's done a job and we've done a job, we could cite opinions. But we'd like it to be a collaborative kind of thing. We don't know locally here what the real estate market looks like or the zoning issues on it. We would not ever want to get involved in that because that's a local authority issue.
I'm working on the assumption that the zoning is not an issue based on Steve. Who, in fact, surveyed the available property? Was it Acadia?
Yes.
Their own people surveyed.
Why?
The
We have
entire,
like a real estate agent here,
a real estate agent surveyed.
vetted properties for us based on the criteria you saw on the slide that we need to have.
Can we get a copy of that survey and that information from that real estate agent?
Sure.
We'd like that.
He's sitting right here.
Hey, Bob.
So, and I think maybe this is getting a little bit, maybe issues confused. So the Great Rivers, again, sorry for stepping in front, but so Great Rivers released an RFP, or an request for application, and part of the successful bidder's job was to find a location that would serve, and we mandated that it had to be in the Longview, Kelso area. I mean, these cities are smashed together. You can literally step across the street and be from one to the other and back and forth. This is where the primary need is, this is where public transportation is, so on and so forth. Now, I think what was discussed is that if a site is appropriately zoned, there are no reasons that it couldn't be there. It can't be excluded. I mean, that's the long and the short of it, I believe. So whether or not, people were talked to in the neighborhood saying, can we open this here? What's your opinion? What's your opinion? that's not necessarily whether a site can be placed somewhere. I mean, those are technicalities. It's either a yes or no. If yes, then that starts the process of potentially signing a lease and then developing that community plan and having the forums and whatnot that go along with that. I think multiple people here have mentioned that this is not intended. It's supposed to augment the services in the community and help the community be a healthier place. And everybody wants to be a good partner. But I think that the focus on, has there been a discussion about whether or not this can technically be on that site? Well, if it meets all of the yeses, I think the point is you can't exclude it just because of the type of business it is. And it serves, and I've been to a lot of community forums, I hear a lot of things about, well, it's those people, those ones, the mentals, or whatever, the addicts, the whatever, and there's the stereotype and whatnot. But I didn't want to say one thing. We have a facility in a different part of our region, and I'll tell you that where 5 regions are. We're Cowlitz County, Waukegan, Pacific, Grace Harbor, and Lewis. I actually, and this was relatively new to me, I knew that they existed, in different areas in the state. I actually drove by 2 of them and couldn't find them. I was looking for that stereotypical place. I drove right by it. I mean, they were just like another business. In other business areas, there weren't those people hanging around outside. New cars would come up. People would park, get out, come out, short visit, whatnot. It's not what people think. So I think an educational component that will come out in like the community forums, we want to do that, is very important for folks to be aware. You saw, well, it's not up there now, but you saw a picture of the facility. That's nicer than the doctor's office I go to. I mean, that's a beautiful place for folks to go, whether they're poor or rich or whatever. This is a very well-run organization, which is why we selected them. But I just wanted to kind of step in to clarify that this is sort of a yes/no, and if yes, you can't exclude just because you want to.
And to be clear, the yes/no is not a question you're asking us.
Correct. Yes. Yes.
As you and I had our conversation at the county commissioners meeting on Tuesday, I expressed to you a strong interest in what criteria was utilized for site selection.
Right.
And my concern, first let me go on record, I understand we need to save the taxpayers money, and I'm all for having a facility here. But quite frankly, I think we need to explain to our constituents what the evaluative process was that made this site so ideal for this. Because please understand, there's strong public sentiment in the community, and we've been augmented by outside services sort of to our, to any degree we would want to be. With an institution that was located here prior to this. So there's strong public sentiment and genuine concern. But we've got to save that $1 million a year in transportation costs. And I'll have other questions to ask Arcadia, why it is that a facility like this has to be, when we've got doctors' offices and all sorts of county facilities. I don't see any county commissioners. I'm not sure if you're from the county board of health or not. Is there anyone, I just want to make sure that the statements I'm making are true, but in those meetings that we had, in discussions with the county commissioners, I got the distinct impression that the county commissioners really weren't involved in the decision of this, that it came out of the health department itself, and the health department's working relationship with BHO, the state mandated program.
Well, and I can address a couple of those points. I think one of the slides actually addressed the process of finding the location. It's pretty clear. That's how they went through to find it. Now, and just so folks know, I've lived in Cowlitz County. I'm a resident here for 20 years. I've been in the behavioral health system for 20 years. In fact, I was a county employee at the Health and Human Services Department and overseeing what's called the Regional Support Network, which also part of my role was to do substance use disorder services. So I'm very familiar with whatnot that goes along here. The county commissioners here, now that we're part of a larger region, the BHO has responsibility for delivering Medicaid services and the services that we contract with the state for our entire region. We provide access to those services where needed.
You are a state agency, you are in fact a contracted employee at the state.
Yes, we are a quasi-governmental municipality represented through
Not for profit,
interlocal, not for profit, correct. So our responsibility is to the community. Like I mentioned before, our board is made up of commissioners from all of our 5 counties.
Including county commissioners of this county.
Yes, there is a county commissioner here. There's a commissioner from every county in our region. So we have 5. But we, Great Rivers, is responsible for overseeing these services and making sure that they're necessary. The state delegates those responsibilities to us. We make them available in the community. That's what we have to do. Whether the counties, and I'll use an example, Pierce County it's a for-profit Optum, which manages their BHO. They're not overseen by the counties, and they have the same responsibilities that we do. So they'll open facilities, which they have in their region. The difference is here with our counties, this actually provides some local influence and control and can leverage the resources across the region, some that are funded by county 1/10 dollars, other local resources, support law enforcement, so on and so forth. And our largest healthcare provider, Peace Health, has a vested interest in these services as well. This was a missing service here. I can tell you, like I said, I've lived here for 20 years. I'm very familiar with the population. I'm very familiar with the need. And this was a gap that Cowlitz County in the past had I don't know what it was. They barred this type of service in the county, which actually forced our folks to go south. And that is not possible anymore. So that sort of regulation is lifted. The county commissioners allowed that a couple of years ago, whenever they made it public, or had a public hearing. But we can absolutely, we've been working in partnership with all of our counties, the health departments, other providers, and other stakeholders that serve this population. And I understand that this community part of it, as I read about it, that people believe that, and I'm just going to say it, love overwhelming, and the experience that the county had with love overwhelming is somehow going to be similar or have an impact on the community and services that BHOs have. Absolutely not. They're not even related. We didn't have a relationship with love overwhelming. We're ultimately responsible for ensuring that the services are done in a professional manner and are helping the health and well-being of all of those folks that live here.
The gunshot response regarding love overwhelming is not a county response. It's not a Colama response. It's not a Longview response. It was the citizens and police force at Kelso that was forced to deal with this.
Right, and I understand that, but I also remember I've been here long enough that the Chinook and Columbia Apartments, which were a mental health type of facility, same sort of uproar came about then. Different circumstances, and it turned out that really was not a big deal long-term, the long-term impact in the community. So I get it, so I've been here, but I know that this is a hot button for folks. Also, one of the other additions that I want, I guess I'm going to do my spiel first, apologize, is that we are responsible for a lot of other behavioral health services. So this is one service that we're talking about is the MAT service, right? That's one element. Also, we expect, and if you're interested and have the availability, is to provide a much more broad array. They mentioned it about integration, I think, I mentioned about integration as well. We want an integrated healthcare delivery system, which includes the behavioral health and the physical health and the housing and the law enforcement and the schools and health department, everything that has to do with the person's health and well-being, community's health and well-being. So if we identify, let's say Kelso has a unique behavioral health need, or healthcare need, we will find the partners in our community to help resolve that. That's our job. We do have the funds to do that. Some of our funds are a little more restricted than others. They're Medicaid funds for the most part, but we do have some general state funds and other grants. So we'll be working, and Todd Berdarius actually is our integration community, kind of an integration person working with providers. So we'll make sure that that's available. But the last thing I'll say here, unless people have questions for me, I did leave my cards out there. So people can call me, email me, whatever. We'll give you whatever information you hand, as long as it's not healthcare information. PHI. personal health care information. We'll share that. We'll share as much data as we can. We want to be open and transparent. And again, we did select Acadia to be the provider in this group. And for me, ultimately, my responsibility and our board's responsibility is not to, let's say, other providers. It's really for the people. I mean, that's who our ultimate customers are. And I say this here, although I live here, I can't say Cowlitz County is my favorite, but I do have a vested interest here. This is where my family is. The services that we provide, they're to family, friends, neighbors. If you think about it, everybody who lives here, if they haven't experienced it themselves or have it in their family, they have friends that are experiencing this, this need, and it's really our obligation to help provide access to this menu of services, whatever that happens to be. And we'll be transparent with data and provide oversight and reports to folks if that's what they want. But anyway, questions?
As I explained on Tuesday, one of my great concerns is duplication of effort. Why can't we do the same treatment at an existing facility here? And so you're concretely saying that there is no facility here that can provide this service to the opioid addiction. Is that?
Actually, what I will tell you, because it's like, is there a facility? Well, technically, Peace Health Hospital is a facility that probably could do something like that if they chose that. There is no current facility that we contract with that is able to deliver this type of specialized service to the folks in Cowlitz County. That's what I'm saying.
The question though is, are there other facilities, even though not contracted with you, that can provide this very same service already in the community?
Any physician who has this certification could provide prescriptions for methadone, for example. It's done in if they're licensed to. Oh, so it's the Suboxone.
Federal license that we required, we mentioned earlier, was required of any entity, an environmental entity, to have those licenses that we described, that Mr. Mullen described, that would allow the full range of services that one of the OTPs provide. So the hospital is not able to do it. However, a physician that has what's called an X waiver that allows them to use Suboxone or buprenorphine, those physicians can use that one product out of their office, if that's the only product they can use. And they don't offer counseling typically. They won't offer counseling or other ancillary services.
But there are other sources for counseling, obviously, and a large number of those services exist. The other thing is, doesn't the VA also administer to veterans these same?
Yeah, but that's a completely separate system.
It is a large percentage of the opioid addiction. The numbers I've seen, if I'm wrong, I apologize. And I only want, and please give me one more question, or one more point, and that is, I understand the broad requirements that you established for site selection. I'm more interested in the details that would be provided by the folks that actually did the site selection. If that's available, I would really like to see that.
I believe what he said was
That
there
would be,
one property that met all the factors that he was
two of
looking
us
for.
here would be ones that were doing the site surveys. Myself and Mr. Love.
But it was one property in Kelso, and I'm looking specifically to see if other.
Cowlitz County.
10 to 20 miles of a radius.
In the entire
That would meet the criteria that would be. Now, we did look at, like I said, it does not make sense for us to do in the unpopulated area, especially with the public transportation. So I can't speak, there's still interest in the counties. But it would be the only place of the metropolitan area that's the county seat, which is here, it's also since it's county seat. And then, again, between the two cities, I estimated that's 80% of the county's population, probably 60%.
And the VHO was requiring to be in the populated.
That's also true.
Correct.
Was the Broadway campus where they do the Suboxone treatment considered or contacted? That's a very large medical facility.
A lot of the people who provide Suboxone don't want to go through the licensure process to offer all the services we do in our medications because of the complexities.
Were they contacted to see if they had space available to use?
I would have to go back to the site survey list, which was done maybe 6 or 7 months ago to see what was on it. And again, some were weeded out and that would be appropriate.
So I think that we're probably waiting to hear what you have to say,
Yeah.
because in our discussion that we had with Acadia beforehand, what is the community worried about? And what, so I'm putting together what I've heard from members of the public, and council members and all that. We're mainly concerned about the impacts. Not so concerned about what goes on inside the building, it's what goes on outside the building. And why we have so many folks that are gun shy in the community. Again, we had the love overwhelming experience. There's concerns, there's comparisons being made to the needle exchange program with this type of program. And so I think it's really important to understand, unfortunately we have a lot of very similar facilities that are run by Acadia and others. So we can look at what the impacts are around the exterior of these facilities, and maybe you have the information about that, what the impacts.
In part, so my name is Teresa Patinos, and I'm the Deputy Chief Medical Officer in the Washington State Medicaid Program.
MD, I'm sorry.
Yeah, I'm a physician, and by training I'm a family physician and an addiction medicine physician. And I've been treating people with opiate use disorder my entire career, which is about 30 years. So, and what I've seen is an evolution in our understanding of the illness and our ability to treat it. What we learned over the last 20 to 30 years about all substance use disorders, alcohol, opiates, stimulant, and pure substance use, is that they're medical chronic conditions. We used to think, what, just tough it up, stop. You can say no, you can't. These conditions change the chemistry in the brain, and I could have brought slides to show you, and I'm happy to send them to anyone who's interested, but over time, it changes the chemistry in your brain, and you're not able to just stop. You crave the medication, you crave the heroin, you crave the oxycodone, whatever it is, and your body's brain becomes rewired. And it's not a matter of just stopping. Most people who try to stop and do the abstinence-only approach, they last maybe 6 weeks, and they use again. At 1 year, pretty much everyone who does not use medication to combat this relapses. So we know this is a chronic medical condition. So as a physician, for me to say, I don't want to take care of you, and a lot of my peers do. There are a lot of docs who don't want to take care of folks with addiction. And that's on us. That's on my profession to pick them up and say, come on, what's wrong with you? To me, that would be like saying, you know what, you have really bad asthma, but you still smoke. I'm not going to give you an inhaler. I'm going to watch you die. Or, gosh, you can't have donuts, let me put you in a cake. And you're not following your diet, and gee, you can't come see me anymore because you just don't want to get better. The thing that's most compelling to me about the medication that we now have to treat opiate use disorders is we can take a person's risk of dying if we give them medication for their opiate use disorder and reduce it by 50%. If we send people to treatment without medication, their risk of dying is twice as high. If we give them medication, it's half as much. There is nothing I prescribe that does that good. Can't prescribe, nothing. So we have what's really the most important treatment, and that's medication. So there are more than one medications. There's the methadone and there's the buprenorphine. I can prescribe buprenorphine. I did a class. I asked the DEA for a waiver. And I can do that out of my office, and I have done it. And it works. I think it's an excellent drug. I have people who prefer methadone. I have people who prefer buprenorphine. But what I can tell you with absolute certainty is honesty, is when they are on those medications, they are completely different folks. They can be able to attend, think, and they can actually deal with the stuff in life that sort of their addiction has gotten in the way of. So these medications work in the right, and certainly they're safe when used properly. There are people who need a little bit more help than others, say someone who's homeless, someone who might also have a mental health condition. They're not the best, it's not easy for them to get someplace every 1 week or every 2 weeks. Their lives are kind of chaotic. So they are not great at keeping appointments. And, they may not have the most supportive network, and they may only be able to stay in a place where everybody around them is using. Those are the folks that really benefit from the kind of services that a methadone clinic can offer. And that's a daily check-in. That's people who know you. You're there every day. You're constant. You have the healthcare providers there. You have the counselors there. They really help people who are in the most distress and the sickest get better because they provide that stabilization. And so that's the power of the strength of methadone clinics, is they really help serve the people who are the sickest in the way that best addresses their needs. Certainly the methadone clinic shouldn't be called methadone clinics, they should be called opiate treatment providers, because now they also provide buprenorphine, which is a medicine that, and again, some people do better on one versus the other, but that's a medication that is a little bit less strict. You can prescribe it up to a month at a time. So the providers in your community who prescribe that, they can, when people get stable, prescribe it more often. Like Cowlitz, in 2016, we had the highest overdose death rate in the state, 13.8 people per thousand. That's a lot. In 2014, 2 out of every 10 people got a prescription for oxycodone in Cowlitz County. 3 people in 10 got a prescription for an opiate. If you look at people who are now addicted to heroin, the vast majority of them started by using prescription opiates. So these are folks who might have had a back injury, a broken leg, maybe they were just experimenting as teenagers, but they most likely started with prescription opiates. So we recognize that as a medical community, we have a whole lot of work to do on how we prescribe.
Can I remind, I want to make sure I heard you right. You said there were 2 out of 10 had oxycodone prescription in 2004, and then you said
2014.
14, okay. And then what was the, right after that you said?
It was
3 out of 10.
3 people out of 10 got some sort of opiate, you know, so oxycodone plus hydrocodone or both.
Okay, thank you.
So there's a lot of them out there, right? And people don't just choose to become addicted to stuff. It's their genetics, it's their environment. Not everybody is wired to have that predisposition, but when they are, they are. I worked for a year in an addiction treatment center in a hospital where people who wanted to go into treatment came in and they could safely withdraw from their medications. And I saw lawyers, nurses, doctors. This hospital didn't see people who had medicated and put them in this program. It was only people who had insurance. And I saw 15-year-olds, I saw 70-year-olds, and I started asking people, how'd you get here? And what they said, one after another, and one way or another, was, you know what, I had a car accident, I shattered my leg, I got this medication, opiate, it started me on morphine, and it was the first time in my life I felt good. It didn't feel high, it didn't feel happy. It said, I felt normal. And I thought, that's weird. But person after person told me that. So what that taught me as a physician is there's some predisposition, there's something that makes some folks more apt to have this trouble than others. So as we learn more about the condition, we can hopefully better predict who that is. And maybe say, you know, it's not safe to give you an opioid, or if we do, give you one and see what happens. So I think we're learning more about how to manage this. I think there's a huge need based on the number of prescriptions that are out in the community, the fact that this part of the state does have the highest overdose death rate. I do want to say that in terms of the crime, Baltimore, the city of Baltimore looked a couple years ago at crime, and they have 20 methadone clinics in their community because they have a much worse problem than we do, although we have a pretty bad problem in Washington. And they said, well, what happens to crime around methadone clinics, or opiate treatment providers, I'm sorry, OTPs, I'll call them. What's crime like there compared to corner drugstores, compared to convenience stores, or whatever, versus liquor stores? And what they found was that crime was highest around the liquor store, and it was highest closest to the liquor store, which meant people went to the liquor store to rob it because they had liquor and money. Next highest was the corner store, and the least high areas of crime were the opiate treatment provider and the convenience store. And if anything, crime went down after the opiate treatment provider clinic came in. People who are on methadone don't commit crimes. They don't have to find money or steal things to pay for their next dose of oxycodone or heroin. That's the treatment for the crime. The treatment for the crime is to get the person the medication that they need so that they don't have to spend all day struggling looking for how to not feel sick, not to crave, and not to feel like there's nothing you want to do. And I think the last point I'd make before I answer questions is this is not a problem unique to Cowlitz and Southern Washington. Plenty of folks in Bellevue are losing their children to this opiate epidemic. This opiate use disorder is in all incomes, all races. It doesn't distinguish. There was a study in New York that looked and saw what's the difference in opiate use disorder for people who are in higher incomes versus lower incomes. The people who are in lower incomes, their rate of opiate use disorder over the last 10 years kind of flattened out a little bit. For people in higher incomes, it went up like this. So this is a problem that we all share, but what we know now is we have tools that we can help people. And if you can't get folks with opiate use disorder on medication, their risk of dying is high, and it's twice as high. So from my perspective as a physician, my colleagues tell me they don't want to treat someone who has an opiate use disorder. I say, that's malpractice. To withhold a medicine that can reduce their risk of dying, that you can write for, that you have the power to, that's not ethical. So what we have is a science, we have the ability, and I know this is hard for a community, and there are a lot of concerns. I've worked with Deb and Dennis for years, and they're professionals, they do their work well, and you don't know where these clinics are necessarily. So I would just implore you to recognize the need that your community has, that, you know, and the money's important, but I get to say I'm a doctor, I care about the people, I keep them alive, and this is a powerful way in which to do that for your citizens.
Thank you. Questions? Ms. Muller?
I don't really have a question. It's, I don't think the people in Cowlitz County or in this room, or even the council people, question that there is a need here. I think our question is the location and the fact that you're taking away from a retail business. So, I mean, because you're not going to generate any revenue by opening this clinic. So therefore, you're kind of putting the screws to the city of Kelso. They're taking a little bit of our retail site away from us.
I can say in response to that is in the places that have done this, what you look at is crime goes down, jail costs go down, and that the ability for people to become employed and be productive and earn money in the community goes up. So, right, we do a cost-effective analysis, but there's a balance.
And that makes sense.
Mr. Warren, can I ask you to elaborate a little more on the revenue generating portion of your statement? So I can better understand.
Well, typically this downtown core is retail. So, and you're taking away from a building that could be used for some type of retail establishment, such as maybe a restaurant or a boutique or, you know, something that will generate revenue to come into the city council that will help us, you know, provide for our employees and, you know, maintain the area. Tax base.
Because the service does to me, whether we sell widgets or a restaurant, we have service, not a product. And the service generates revenue. People keep coming here and are spending either money or benefits from healthcare insurance. And the employees that work there are getting a salary and will likely live right here. And so I don't see any different than a restaurant. I'm looking at it as it is a revenue generator. It generates business, it generates money is being spent there as it would if it were selling clothes or food. It's a service, and that's why I just wanted to help understand what your perspective is.
And that could very well be, but
Is it a tax service?
Yes.
So we pay
Oh, yes. Yeah. And so we sell service, service and a product, or a service and a product, but it does generate a lot of revenue. And there's the added revenue of someone who may want to have breakfast or get gasoline, or something else that comes here that wouldn't be here without that there. It's the same revenue, I would assume, whether it's a restaurant or some widgets.
If I were someone looking to open a children's clothing store in downtown Kelso, I would locate it across the street from the Methadone clinic, not because I shouldn't, but because the unknown and the fear and the misperception, I'm quite sure, about what goes on there and the people that are there. That being said, the war on drugs, I've heard about it since I was in high school, and boy, was that decades ago. When I came home from the service, I can't tell you how many people I personally knew came out of my particular war addicted. Of all of those people that went through the treatment that was available at that time, we all just refer to it as methadone. And I don't know any term except recidivism rate. They might have been cleaned up for a short period of time. They invariably, I would say far more than 50% return to the medication. So we in this county, the number I've heard from presentations at the county commissioners meetings and various other sources, tell me that we don't have 75 people that are officially enrolled in this, but 120 people that are actually eligible for this program. That being said, when this clinic comes here, how many more people are going to be eligible to utilize it? Is it absolutely capped at 75, and why do we need that building over there for 75 people? If it's 120, I still don't see that. Can it possibly be that more people will enroll in this and we may ultimately see 200 people twice a week or every third day coming in for treatment here?
I mean, I can respond to the number that they came up with. What I can say is, to your earlier point, that about 50% of people relapse. That's we've learned it's a chronic condition. And for some people, they need to be on that medication for the rest of their lives.
Exactly.
And I would argue that, we need to also, as a health care professionals, I'll include everybody here that's talking, we need to rethink how we support people who need methadone. Right now, they have to come every day for a very long time, and that's a federal rule, but maybe there are ways to sort of help support them in better ways, so I think we need to really look at those practices. Many people need to stay on that medication for the rest of their life, and that is reality, like you see.
The federal oversight people that really screen this program, is it uniform throughout all the western states? In other words, when I see what you folks bring in Oregon or in Idaho, I know it's not in California for a fact, but other than the mandated things from the feds, the program is
The rules obviously are set in federal law. It's for
right, but the clinics themselves, their operations, and the social services that are delivered are not uniform from state to state.
Basic services are, the additional things that people choose to provide are different.
We also have the accreditation. So the federal rules from SAMHSA, federal rules from the Drug Enforcement Administration, the accreditation rules and guidelines are the same across the country. There might be some variation between states. We have more regulations than Oregon, for example. Certainly more than Idaho.
And a lot less in California.
And less than California. California is trying to become a federally recognized accreditation body, so they looked at our stuff in order to become that. So there's a lot of uniformity for OTPs. That's not the case in other types of services, but it isn't OTPs again because of the excessive regulation.
But again, is 75 the absolute cap, whereas 120 the cap, or is the objective to get as many opioid-addicted individuals out there currently on the street into the program and grow the patronage, let's call it, of the clinic?
I don't know the numbers that have been looked at. I'll leave that to Mark. But what I can say is what we know nationally and even locally is that maybe all the people that we're treating right now, both in methadone clinics and in the office-based programs with the buprenorphine, maybe we're getting 20% of the people. So all the numbers we have, you can quadruple those for the need. And so the need is much, much larger, I think, than...
It is, I agree,
yeah.
but are we actively going to solicit?
I can address this. So it's interesting to hear people talk about this stuff. Our contract is, like I said before, it was Medicaid. Medicaid, this type of treatment, if it's part of the benefit, if it's medically necessary, they absolutely have access to it. So if it's 100 people, or 200, or 500, or 700, if those people are identified as having a need and want the service, because this is voluntary, we have to provide it, right?
Yes.
So that's what any of the services that we offer in the behavioral health service continuum. It is a benefit. We are required to provide access, okay? So it's not like a capitated, well, oh geez, we can only see 50, so we'll stop at 50. If there are people that want to engage in treatment to help on their journey of recovery, whatever that happens to be for that individual, we have to provide access. Now, a specific facility may be limited by number, but if we still have a need, well, we'd be going, well, I guess we need another facility, to offer that. I mean, this is, We are responsible for delivering the need to the community in Cowlitz County, five counties, but Cowlitz County in particular, since that's what we're talking about here. So the number is a little bit unknown. You know, there's a lot of different opportunities. People could get referrals from primary care doctors, family, friends, whatever. You know, they can make referrals. We have a lot of other behavioral health providers in this community that can help engage folks in services at that window of opportunity. If people want to make changes in their life, absolutely. So again, the number is just a little bit different. We don't know here. We know that a small number of people made the decision to literally spend their entire day going to Clark County. That was essentially their
I
job.
applaud them for that.
Well, I think
I
the
wish them
missing,
well on their journey. But I would like to interrupt you just real quickly. One of the statements on the syringe exchange in 2014 is 400,000. Repeatedly in county, as evidence was given, I call it evidence, as the discussion went forward in a couple of different county commissioner meetings recently, the number 800,000 needles last year were dispensed in this county. 2014, 400,000. 2016, over 800.
We don't know the actual number because there was a data breach. There was a data
So
breach.
what I'm saying is,
You will not find a park in this community that does not currently have meals.
that'd be interesting to know that if we didn't have a syringe exchange program, I'm assuming that all those needles would vanish because people stopped using.
No.
I mean, that doesn't make any sense. So having needles in parks and public areas, you know, whether there's a syringe exchange program or not, is not really relevant.
It's also not what we have to worry about today.
my point is this, and I wish one of the commissioners or somebody from the health department was here. If we leaped from 400,000 to 800,000, if that's the real number, and that was a published report by Cowlitz County out of the health department, who's to say that the need for this clinic isn't exceed everybody's wildest expectation? I don't really know what numbers, but my fear is we're downplaying what the potential patronage is going to be over there and the level of consequence experienced by the people in this community. We're not opposed to treatment. We, highly supportive of it. We've been around it for 50 years, almost, for it. But please understand the genuine concern, and it's not just from me. There's a lot of folks in this community, and we can't even tell them how many people are going to access this. Can we even tell them that there's not going to be agencies actively soliciting people to go into the program? I'd applaud that. Get them off the street, get them on a climb, get them into treatment in the hope that possibly we can help them with their addiction. But a community this size, and we became an attractive when we opened one of the facilities that's been addressed. There's no question in my mind about that. Are we also going to become an attractive for all 5 counties, 6 counties, more people from Oregon? And are we going to see lines out the front door?
We had a very good, productive conversation about the operations of the facility. I want to keep drawing this back to the impacts and how the impacts of a population that is using a particular service are addressed through the operations of the facility. Now, Devin here can talk to us about what we talked about in our earlier meeting last week and address the operations of what are the hours of operation, what are the rules, what is the outreach to your stakeholders and your neighbors and good neighbor agreements and all that. And then we can also talk about some research that we've conducted with other police departments that have your facilities in them and other types of OTPs in them. So I was wondering if you could address that.
And this is just the final comment. I just want to make sure people understand. This is for the Medicaid population, this is a benefit. If they have a clinical need that's medically necessary, we'll ensure that it happens for those folks in Cowlitz County, period. I mean, that's long and short of it, and the fear about whether it's 100 or 1,000. If there's people with that benefit and have the need, we will serve the 1,000 people, right? I mean, I just want people to know.
And I think the key question that the community has is, as you serve them, how will the operations of that
Right.
service
So I think that's
be regulated so as to reduce the impact or eliminate the impact to the surrounding neighbors?
And before they start, I made, to help Mr. Hill with his question, as Dennis had mentioned, the state puts a limit on it. It's 350. The 75 that you saw was a limit that they were able to pay for the transportation.
Right.
The state controls that limit. It can't go on a bigger. Even if the VHO has 1,000 people to treat, we have to submit to the state that there's a need, and the state has to increase that limit. So it can't go limitless, as you were trying to ask. So what's the top end? What is this going to serve? The state, as you heard earlier, they started 350, and I can say that from my experience in opening many of these clinics over 14 years, it takes typically over 5 years for a facility to have that many patients. And I've opened dozens of these. In fact, we operate 15% of them in all of America. And I can tell you from my experience that it would take 5 years to get 350 patients.
So 350 is in
That
fact.
is a carrot that's in right now from the state. We have to submit to the state to raise that level. And the state is sensitive, as they mentioned to you. The state's never going to say 3,000 people can come here in that building because they physically can't handle it, even if there was a need.
The state doesn't control above 350. That's the authority and responsibility of local government.
So there are no facilities that have other, higher numbers than that.
Well, there are. That's what I'm saying. That's where it would start to take approvals of other sources, local and or state, to
So
continue to
King
go up.
County Council approved those agencies to go to 500. Snohomish County Council has on 700, but requires
Obviously, the
leadership.
population differences.
But 350 is our responsibility, and then we default, again, local government. We go above that.
So
But we want to make sure people understand that there is some cap.
Correct.
Right.
That you get when you saw the 75, you mentioned the 120, that may be the patients they have. It's really for anybody that's ever someone to come in, whether it's a third-party pay or commercial insurance or self-pay. It's not just the VHO Medicaid population. It's open to anyone that seeks help for their issue.
Thank you. Clarifying.
Okay,
A quick ballpark to answer your question, like how many thousands are we talking about? If you look at 800,000 syringes exchanged, most people use, let's say, 4 a day, 4 to 5. That comes out that everyday use about 500 people. Another way to think about it is the prevalence across the country of opioid use disorder is about 1%. So I don't know what your population is here, but that might be another ballpark to kind of think about sort of the burden that you might have up or down.
That number 800,000 was such a discrepancy from the 400,000. I thought you mentioned that we're seeing it growing by leaps and
Everywhere,
bounds.
unfortunately.
My name is Deb Cummins. I'm the regional director for Acadia Health. I am in charge of Washington State and Alaska. We are in 26 states, as Tony was saying, so we have some experience in conducting this line of business. Prior to that, I worked with the state of Washington as the State Opioid Treatment Authority and the accreditation surveyor. So I kind of worked on both sides of the fence and really understand the concerns of each and every community, not unique to Cowlitz County, but I'm certain that you're the experts here, you know your community. We want to partner with you, we want to be a solution to your community. We don't want to come in here and create more angst or concerns about your opiate use disorder issues in this community, and especially what I'm understanding is the needle exchange and some of the needles that are being found in the parks and et cetera, et cetera. So I met a couple weeks ago with members from the VHO, the law enforcement community, and the city manager. And we talked a little bit about the daily operations of the clinic and how, some of the oversight that happens. I also brought with me a clinic director that works in our Kent office who moved from Renton down to Kent, and some of the same issues that were concerns with the community there and how we work through those. Specifically, a clinic will open around 5 in the morning. People will come for the first half hour. These are folks that have jobs, so we give them priority to get their medications, have their counseling sessions, deal with any issues that are going on, whether they're medical, psychosocial issues or whatever, and then be on their way and go about their business. Our normal medicating hours are between 5 and 11 each day. We have a full array of medical staff, physicians, nurse practitioners, and nurses that provide the medication, provide medical oversight. We have counselors that meet with the individuals to do a full psychosocial assessment to determine what are their needs, whether it's housing, education, employment, any kind of physical needs, childcare, just the array of services that they may need, and get them set up for those so that they can begin to get their lives back on track. I don't think I know one individual in any of our programs that wants to be there. They didn't choose this addiction. They did not choose to be where they're at in their lives, but they are. And what we provide is a way out of the addiction and get them into a more productive life. We also have, when someone comes in, we have what's called a good neighbor policy. So we work with the community, the business community, the law enforcement, and our patients to make sure that they're conducting themselves in a manner that's respectful and not creating more of a nuisance in their community. We also make sure that they are not loitering in the area. If we find any of the like we call the Big Five, any of those violations, they're brought in for some type of contract, behavioral contract or whatever, up into actual discharge from the program, because we will not permit misbehavior in our clinics. What we find is that the longer somebody stays in treatment, the better the outcomes. We also know that hepatitis C is on the rise. It is an epidemic, and Carissa can talk to that, and Dr. Fitinos can talk to that again, but we're seeing a huge upswing. The very sad thing that we're seeing also is the younger, 20 young adults, 20 to 35-year-olds, full-on addiction, heroin. So younger than we have in the past. Let me just kind of jump into the diversion control plan, because we want to make sure that our medication is safe. Individuals will come in to the clinic daily, and we determine that the medical staff determines the dosage of the medication based on someone's metabolism and what their needs are. So the outcome of the medication is to not go into withdrawals or have them be that they're just maintaining and having that brain disease maintained. So if somebody is having withdrawals before they come back, then we might up their medication dose, or if they're starting to nod out during the day, we can bring it down. So that's a medical decision that's made, and they meet with a doctor or a nurse practitioner. Medication is strictly provided on a medical order by a physician. Only physicians within our type of clinic can provide methadone for the treatment of opiate addiction. That has to do with the Controlled Substance Act. And the waiver program that they were talking about is a waiver to this Controlled Substance Act, and I believe that happened in 2001. Dennis, yes. And so that kind of a little bit of history about methadone can only be prescribed for the use of opiate addiction in our types of clinics. any doctor can prescribe methadone for toothache or any other kind of disorder, and that may be where you see a lot of diversion happening through pharmacies, through the pill form. We provide liquid methadone, and so patient has to be in our program for at least 90 days and have meet an 8-point criteria of providing negative drug screens, having a safe place to live, attending their counseling sessions, and a variety of other criteria in order for them to get one take-home medication. And over a period of 2 years, if their behavior continues and their drug screens are good and so forth, then they can earn up to a 30-day supply of medication.
So it sounds like you have a whole lot more going into the treatment of anybody than just, hey, here's methadone, go have fun. And I think that's a misconception in the community. It sounds like you're trying a holistic approach to getting them on the right track.
We have to, yeah. If we're going to impact this disease in a positive manner, and that's what we're about, we have to have some type of controls on helping that person to begin to change their behavior. So it's kind of contingency management. If you're having good behavior, you get a reward kind of thing. So go ahead.
What other agencies refer folks to your program? I realize that we're dealing basically with Medicaid recipients here, Medicaid eligible folks here, but who else refers clients? Private physicians, send people in?
We are contracted with many major insurance carriers, Kaiser being one of those. We have many patients in our Vancouver office that are from Kaiser. They will do the initial evaluation of that person and then refer that person over to us for the medication. We get referrals from doctors, from law enforcement, from child protective services, from family members, a lot of family members, and employers.
But these are, I'm saying, exclusively non-Medicaid eligible.
So, okay, my name is Michael. I'm the director of the tech facility. We have patients that Boeing is a big, one of our big employers. They have an EAP program, Employee Assistance Program, and if somebody has a substance abuse disorder that fits our criteria, they will refer them to us specifically.
So in fact, there are going to be other people in addition to the Medicaid folks that are going to be utilizing this facility.
All of the medical professionals and counselors that are in the metropolitan area would be referral sources as they run across screening awareness of opioid dependence, including the hospitals and emergency rooms, first responders, and primary care physicians see a lot as well. They do a lot of screening for a lot of things.
Yes.
So all of those would be referral sources.
Behavioral requirements are absolutely the same regardless of how those individuals came.
Absolutely, absolutely. We treat everybody the same. I know that the state of Washington did a study a few years back on high utilizers of emergency room visits, and many of those were addicted to opiates, and so in order to reduce those rates, they have kind of embraced a whole policy on the reduction of opiate use.
You folks do, for instance, a program at local high schools, education, do you do those sorts of things? Immersion sorts of
Yeah,
programs?
we can. I mean, part of our...
Oh, no programs I'm talking about.
Oh, no.
No.
No, we don't.
No, you are a for-profit organization. What percentage goes to management, staff, versus direct cost of patients?
That would be filed in the SEC filing. So at our level, because the company is so large, we don't have those types, but they're filed with the SEC. You can go on and look at the company's public traded, and you can see all of that.
Publicly traded?
Yes, I think it's public traded.
We need to begin wrapping up here, so I want to make sure if there's anything that somebody hasn't brought up, or one of you guys, one of the presenters wants to bring up about this, or any question that appear you have that we need to have answered before we wrap up, I'd like to go ahead.
Well, I would like to mention that, you gave us the names of several clinics, and we were able to follow up with law enforcement agencies from those jurisdictions. And Chief Hamilton, if you'd like to maybe just give us a synopsis of the comments that you received directly from the chiefs or the law enforcement professionals in those communities and their experience with the clinics.
Basically, I talked with law enforcement executives from Kent, Renton, Hoke William, and Clark County. And it is a cross-reference of Acadia and I believe Evergreen treatment centers from those jurisdictions. After talking to them, they said after the initial startup and the good neighbor and the talks in between and working with the facility, that they've seen relatively no problems after that. There was one indication that maybe the good neighbor, how cities interpreted the good neighbor policy and how one facility, which was not Acadia, interpreted the good neighbor policy was a little bit different as far as violations, but other than that, there was relatively no problems. Their advice to me was just to make sure to work with Acadia and to get the good neighbor code of conduct, security, people down, contact information, and to make sure that that was all in a working agreement ahead of time, and that things would probably run smooth for us.
Great, and I think, as we've mentioned, you're very different than the level roaming shelter. It's not the same thing, but where the similarity comes is they came in here and saying, hey, we've got a good neighbor agreement and all this, and it didn't end up coming to fruition the way they pictured it. And being a low barrier shelter, they didn't really have a hammer to make people follow these rules. So you have a little bit more in the way of, if you don't want to play ball, you can't be here.
Well, and I think part of what we've done, this isn't a new thing for us, and we've had this good neighbor policy. We've worked with the city of Kent, the Kent Police Department, Spokane, Clark County. We have up in the Bothell area and also in Anchorage. And you can reach out to all of those jurisdictions, and you will hear basically the same thing: is that we put that out there. They didn't ask us for it. We put that out there as a good on olive branches. So this is what we want to be part of the solution in your community. We don't want to add to any more problems that you may be experiencing. We want you to feel comfortable with us being here. We want you to be able to partner with us and be able to speak to your constituents in good conscience that this is something that's going to benefit our community. So I've circulated my card to you, and don't hesitate to contact me. Part of what my job is to do the community relations work. And in January, I sent letters out to all the county commissioners, the city council, I believe the chief of police, and the city manager, indicating that we were going to be locating in this area right over here. And then Steve reached out to me last month, and we had some conversations. So I'm very excited to have these conversations, because what you're bringing up is something that we want to address. We want to mitigate these issues to the point where you're feeling comfortable enough to say this is a good thing.
And that mitigation is actually part of the process prescribed by the state.
Absolutely.
So I think for anybody who's interested, you'll see some more outreach coming later in the year. As Mr. Bummer mentioned, there will be a public hearing available for the community to help get input, get questions answered, learn more about this type of facility. But I think, as we've also heard tonight, as long as it meets the zoning requirements, the state mandates it as an essential public facility, it cannot be banned. And if it meets the requirements, that's the end of the city's official involvement in that. Is that correct?
We are going to continue to have conversations with you. I don't want you to feel like this is, set in stone kind of thing. I want to partner with you.
Right.
I want you to hear that.
Appreciate that. I think that's clear that you guys are trying to run a good operation, and you do this all over the place. So thank you for doing that. All right. With that, that, we'll wrap up, and thank everybody for coming here and helping educate us on what's going on, and everybody, hope everybody else who's just here to find out more was able to. Thanks, guys.